Hi, welcome back. In today's video, we are going to learn how we can add one number to our heap. In order to add a number to our heap here, we are using the heap push function. So we write down the heap queue, which is our imported library here in Python. Then we use the heap push to push a new value to our heap, and then we need to have two arguments. So the first argument is the name of our list, original list, let's say, that we converted it to a min heap. So this is the name of our min heap, and then the number that we want to add to this uh, to this uh, min heap that we are having here, nums. Okay, so when we are adding this, after that I print the nums here. So when I run the code, we see that the min heap was originally look like this: 1 1 2 3 5 9 and 4. Now we are adding number 0, so now it starts with 0, and because it's the smallest uh, element in this min heap, it is going to be at index 0. For example, here, if I had number 10, for example, when I run the code, we see that after adding 10, 10 is inserted at the end here. But because we are adding a number that is smaller than the other numbers, which is 0, and we are having a min heap, 0 is going to be the first element since it's the smallest element in our min heap. This is how the logic would work. So in order to add a number to our heap, we simply write down the heap queue, then heap push. Heap push will help us to add it. And then in the parentheses, we are having two arguments separated by a comma. First, the name of the min heap, and the second is the value that we want to add to our heap. And after that, we are going to simply print it out. Okay. Then what if we want to remove the smallest element in our heap? Here, in order to do that, we simply have the again heap queue dot this time heap pop. So for adding a number, we used heap push function. For removing the smallest element, we are going to have the heap pop function, and in parentheses we write down the name of our min heap, and all of these are assigned to smallest variable. Okay, so it is going to uh, give us the value that is going to remove, and it is assigned to smallest. So here I'm just simply printing out the smallest element that has been removed, and then after removal we are printing out our min heap one more time. So we see that here was the previous version of our min heap, which was starting from 0. Then we mentioned, okay, remove the smallest element, which is 0. So we remove that, and 0 comes from here. Okay, remove the smallest element, and smallest is being printed, which is this number 0. Okay, so this function helps us to remove the smallest element using the heap pop function. From the min heap nums, we are going to remove the smallest element, and the smallest element is assigned to a variable called smallest. And in order to understand which number was the smallest element in that min heap, we assign it to smallest and print it out, so we know that which element has been removed. Then we are simply printing heap after removal. So heap after removal looks like this, because in the previous version we were having this and it had a 0, but here we removed the 0 and we see that we have no 0 in the after removal. So in order to review, in order to add one element to our heap, we simply use the heap push. In the first argument, we write down the name of the heap that we are having, and the second argument is the value that we want to add. Okay. After adding, and this is basically it. So this is how one value is added. So if the added number is the smallest number in the heap, it is going to be placed in the first place. So you see that 0 that we added here is the smallest number in the heap. This is why 0 is the first element. But if I enter 10 here, for example, instead of 0, it's not going to stay as the lowest element. So the lowest element is 1, so the min heap is going to start from 1, and 10 is added at the end. Okay, so if I add, for example, 5 here, again we see 5 at the end, because 5 is not the smallest number, so the min heap is going to start with the smallest value. And just note that it's not a sorted heap. Okay, it's only a min heap, meaning that it is going to start with the smallest element. This is what it's going to do. Then we learned how to remove an element, remove the smallest element using the heap pop function, and the name of the heap is inside the parentheses. And in order to find that what is the element that we are removing, we assign it to a variable called smallest, and we print out the smallest here in the output. Also, after the removal, we print the heap to see now how the heap looks like. So we see that 1 is the first element in our heap here, because here we were inserting number 5, and number 5 was the last element. So here we remove the first element, so we had 2 number 1, and now we remove one of them, and we see only one number 1 still is there, and we are having it right there. Thank you for watching.